Good evening. I'm Pedro Hazel Jr.
I'm Steve Ferguson.
Welcome to another edition of Sportslines Plus. Due to technical difficulties 2 weeks ago, our show had to be deleted. Tonight, we'll be discussing the Knicks blockbuster trade, the Mets, Yankees, Jets, and Giants. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, and the internet address is youtube.com/@Sportslines Plus. This is the website, and this is to subscribe. The Knicks made a blockbuster trade last night, acquiring Karl Anthony Towns from the Minnesota Timberwolves in a package including Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. The trade reunites Towns with Knicks head coach Tom Thibodeau. Randle, DiVincenzo, and a future first-round pick via the Detroit Pistons go to Minnesota, while Daquan Jeffries and an unspecified cash amount and draft compensation go from Minnesota to the Charlotte Hornets. Steve, what do you think of this trade?
Wow. You know what? It's so interesting because this trade had been proposed in a way for about 3 years. We kept hearing Karl Anthony Towns might come to the Knicks for a long time. I have mixed feelings about this deal. Honestly, I like Karl Anthony Towns what he can provide offensively to the Knicks. I think we're looking at a center who will give us 20 to 25 points a game. That's something we've not had since the days of Patrick Ewing. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But my feeling about him as a defender is where I have problems. I have heard he's a soft defender. I've heard he's not a great defender and not a really great rebounder either. So my question is, will Mitchell Robinson get a fair amount of playing time behind him?
Mm.
And I think he'll need to help the Knicks on the defensive end.
You think Knicks gave too much for him?
I think DiVincenzo is the one player I regret they gave up.
Mm-hmm.
He has really come into his own as a player, and I think he was on the verge of being a star with the Knicks.
Yeah, I really liked him. He did very well in the playoff hunt.
Very well in the
spring.
playoffs. And not only that, his defense, which was not supposed to be good, with the Knicks, it was better.
Yes.
He was getting steals. He was making sharp plays. His passing ability had improved.
Yeah.
I think the Knicks are going to miss him because on the nights when we don't have the scoring from Brunson, we're going to need Bridges to step up because DiVincenzo was a clutch performer. That is something I think the Knicks are going to regret. He is a really good player, and he may turn into a star with Minnesota altogether.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that Karl Anthony Towns is a better defender than what we've heard he is. He's a New Jersey guy. He's coming home to the metropolitan area. Tom Thibodeau is very familiar with him. He believes he can work him into the system.
Yeah.
And if he can do that, then the Knicks are going to benefit from this deal. But I think both sides are going to benefit.
I think, okay, good. I think they will.
I do too.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, the Knicks, the ownership wants to win now.
Yes.
I think that's their attitude. They want to win now.
That's something that Leon Rose, he has so improved as a GM the last couple of years. I thought he was going to be a bust as a general manager until he brought Brunson in here. And once he brought Brunson in and Bridges in the offseason, I said, now we know this guy wants to win.
Yeah.
And we thank James Dolan for backing off this
yes,
team
indeed.
and letting Leon Rose develop this team.
Mm-hmm.
Now the question is, can the Knicks beat Boston?
Yes.
And they will find out opening night with the new roster they have. But I think the Knicks are about as good as we hoped they would be in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Randle, I like Randle's game in terms of his tenacity and his aggressiveness, and he has gotten better personality-wise.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about him. He always seems to be people always seem to see him as kind of selfish.
Yeah, they see him as being, I would describe him as a very moody player.
Mm-hmm.
When he's on a given night, he's a terrific player.
Yeah.
He can get you 30 points a game. He'll rebound. He'll block shots. He's tenacious when he wants to be. But there have been times with the Knicks when he's sullen and doesn't play well, and you can see the crowd affects him when he's not playing well.
Yeah.
So I think Randle's game has improved quite a bit as a member of the Knicks, but I think the Knicks see him as you said, a little bit selfish and maybe not quite the player they wanted with the gang they have now.
Yeah.
I think the group they have now will get along much better with Bridges and Brunson and Towns. I think they will get along as a group well. That will help their team chemistry to be better. But I do think you're going to see Mitchell Robinson play a significant role with the Knicks, even with Towns.
Yeah.
Because he is a good defender and good shot blocker. He'll never be the scorer that Towns is, but maybe together as a group, the two of them can man the center position well enough.
Okay. As of this program, the Mets are tied with the Braves for the last wild card spot, while both teams trail the Arizona Diamondbacks for half a game for the second wild card spot. As of now, the Mets are trailing the Milwaukee Brewers 2-0 in the 8th inning.
Wow.
They lost 8-4 last night. After this series, they traveled to Atlanta to close out this regular season, playing the Braves in a doubleheader to make up for games postponed Wednesday due to Hurricane Helene. Watching the Mets can be really frustrating.
Yes.
What do you think they really have a chance to get to the postseason in the first place?
I think they do have a chance, but I think they will get in almost the way the Kansas City Royals got in last night, meaning they will back in. Somebody else will help them. I think the Diamondbacks might be the team that helps them if they lose to the Padres.
Mm-hmm.
It's
who already have the top spot.
Yeah,
that's pretty much locked up.
As a Met fan, as you and I are,
yeah.
It is extremely frustrating to watch this team.
Yes, indeed.
And 2 years ago, we remember what happened to them against Atlanta.
Yeah.
How they fell apart in the last month of the season, almost not making
all they had to win was one game.
That's right.
One game, and they got swept.
And they almost got swept out of the playoff round.
Yeah.
Our former pitcher, Jacob deGrom, saved us from being swept in the series.
Yeah.
The New York Mets are a team that has so much talent, but you ask yourself, do they have enough heart and enough courage to get through these games?
Yeah.
Quintana, by the way, Jose Quintana, was pitching a great game tonight.
Yes, he was.
He struck out 9 hitters in 4 innings.
Yeah.
But the Mets offense has been dead the last 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
And they have to wake up now.
They better wake up.
We understand Lindor was out for about 5 or 6 games. That hurt their offense a lot.
Yes, it did. Yes.
But somebody else other than Mark Vientos has to step up.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's like crazy.
If it's Pete Alonso, if it's Acuna, somebody on this offense has to get them going and get them
Alvarez,
going
somebody.
Alvarez got hurt last night, unfortunately.
Yeah.
JD Martinez is 0 for 36, I believe, or 0 for 37.
Ooh.
He really came down to earth the last week of the season. That's the problem I see with the Mets, and they've been this way for years.
Mm-hmm.
They have a tendency to get your heartbeat up and thinking they're going to make it, and then they blow it. And I'm hoping they're back in, because I think that's the way they're going to get in.
That's probably the only way they're going to get back in.
Probably.
I know. Meanwhile, in the Bronx, the Yankees lost to the Pirates 9-4 today, but they clinched the American League Eastern Division Thursday night, and we were at the game.
We were at the game Thursday night, and we know the Orioles lost 10-1. The Yankees officially clinched Thursday night. But I've been watching the Yankees the last few days. I know it's the Pittsburgh Pirates. They're not contending this year, but the Yankees very much depend on their starting pitching, maybe as much as anybody.
Yeah.
And they have not been hitting well either. So
and they're hitting,
there's a strange feeling I have that the Yankees will definitely be in the playoffs, but they may be gone in the first or second round.
Mm-hmm.
Even with Aaron Judge's 58 home runs, even with Juan Soto's 41 home runs, this is a team that relies too much on power and not enough on base hits, stealing bases, making things happen.
In other words, small
right.
ball.
They don't play enough small ball. They're an all or nothing team on offense. And the pitching, which had been really good for them, has not been that good lately. Stroman was terrible the other night in that game against the Orioles. Gave up 10 hits in 3 1/3 innings. Heel was pitching today against Paul Skeens, who I think should be Rookie of the Year. 2 innings, he struck out 3 Yankees. They didn't touch him, not 1 hit. Heel gave up 6 runs today in 5 innings. And he's supposed to be their Skeens. He was terrible today. He gave up 3 home runs today to the Pirates. So I don't know what the Yankees are offensively and how good they really are.
Yeah.
I think they are capable of getting to the World Series, but they're also capable of being eliminated early in the playoffs.
But the series earlier this week against the Orioles, at least the Orioles won the series.
Yes.
But you figure, even though they won the first 2 games, I had a feeling the Yankees weren't going to get swept. I didn't think they were going to get bombed. I didn't think they were going to beat up on the Orioles, but you figured they were probably going to win.
But here's the thing with the Orioles that makes you really think they have a chance. This is a team that lost 2 of their pitchers this year with Tommy John surgery, Kyle Bradford and John Means. The third pitcher, Rodriguez, has a shoulder injury. That means they're down to Dean Kramer and Corbin Burns as their only reliable starters.
Mm-hmm.
And still, they made the Yankees sweat for this series.
That's right.
Get 1 game. Yeah. So I think the Orioles could be the team that really does well in the playoffs.
Interesting.
Because they're not doing it with pitching. They can hit.
Yeah, they sure can. Though they didn't hit Thursday night.
Thursday night, after Corbin Burns, by the way, Corbin Burns, if you're a Met fan, you want this guy next season.
Oh, yeah.
He pitched 5 innings, struck out 9 Yankees, and allowed a couple of hits.
Yeah.
They took him out of the game when they were trailing 1-0. Mistake on them. As soon as they took him out, the Yankees
the game fell apart.
Right. The relief pitchers were terrible. They gave up 9 runs in the next 4 or 5 innings. So Corbin Burns, if they can keep this guy healthy for the playoffs, I think that's the team you have to watch.
Yes, indeed.
Because they're doing this with mirrors and hitting.
Yeah.
And they're not doing with starting pitching because half of them are hurt.
Yes. You got to give it to them.
They recently got rid of Craig Kimbrell, one of the all-time reliable relief pitchers, because he was pitching like garbage the last few months.
Oh boy!
His ERA was almost 6 when they got rid of him.
Yeah,
and they did it late in the season. So you got to give the Orioles a lot of credit for being where they are. That's why I think they could be the team that goes past the Yankees in the playoffs.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Because the Yankees have been very fortunate that all 5 of their starters have been healthy. They've gotten a great season from Rodon. Cole has been fairly good. Stroman's been okay. Schmidt has been really good when he's pitched. And first half of the year, the guy was incredibly good. He ended up 15-7, which is great for a second-year pitcher. 3.50 ERA, respectable, certainly. Yeah. But I think the Yankees' vulnerabilities are starting to show up.
Interesting. Now on to football. The Giants lost to the Dallas Cowboys 20-15 on Thursday. They scored 5 field goals in the game. Daniel Jones actually was one of his better efforts, went 29 for 40 for 281 yards.
Wow.
His final pass of the game, however, was intercepted with 5 seconds left in the game. Dak Prescott went 22 for 27 for 221 yards for the Cowboys. What do you feel about this game? Do you think he's improved? Daniel Jones is improving?
Daniel Jones is like going out with some woman that's like a tease. She'll show you just enough of who she is, and then you don't know what the rest of her is really like. This is one of his better games. The last 2 games he's played much better.
Yeah.
But the reality is the team he has does not have enough talent around him. When you're counting on a rookie wide receiver to be your star in his first year, that's a problem.
That's a lot of pressure on him.
Neighbors is under so much pressure to be their savior. This team has done so many things, in my opinion, that are wrong. Okay. You cannot allow Saquon Barkley to go in the offseason.
Oh, yeah. We've mentioned that before.
And you've heard me say that a lot. But it's the way the team is run. Daboll gets angry, throws his headphones down, gets pissed off. I get it. But your team just doesn't have the talent.
No, it doesn't.
Listen, you guys had 6 field goals against the Commanders. You almost beat them. But your team is almost good enough, but not good enough to win. Now you are at that stage. That's a bad space to be in. When you play competitively and you try hard and you can't win, that's a problem.
That is a problem.
And you don't see, if you're a Giant fan, the improvement of the team. You see same old thing. Good effort, not quite good enough.
Not quite good enough, yeah.
And as a Jet fan, I can certainly tell you what that feels like.
Yes, we've experienced that many times.
Many times.
And speaking of the Jets, they host the Denver Broncos at MetLife Stadium tomorrow afternoon. Last Sunday, they whipped the New England Patriots 24-3.
Whipped is the right word. Dave.
Also
Yes,
at
they did.
MetLife.
Yes, they did.
Aaron Rodgers was 27 for 35 and passed for 281 yards.
Whew.
What did you think about Sunday's game?
Man, let me tell you, as a Jet fan, and you and I are that.
Yeah, man.
I can't tell you how happy I am that the Jets finally beat the Patriots and did it convincingly.
No Belichick, no Brady.
That's right.
They're both gone. Yeah.
The key is Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
Looks like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
That's what we were hoping to see.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have a chance. It's amazing that I'm going to say this. They can be 3-1 if they win tomorrow.
Yeah.
Now, don't fall asleep on the Broncos, Jets.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have a quarterback whose name is Bo Nix. His first 2 years in college,
I've heard that.
he wasn't very good. But when he transferred to Oregon the last 2 years, he became a star.
Yes.
And he has a very good coach behind him, although I don't like what he did with Russell Wilson last year. Sean Payton has won a championship as a coach. So his team, you can't underestimate them. They have good receivers. They play reasonably good defense. The Jets will have to be on their game tomorrow, as they have been lately.
The last couple of games,
Right.
yes.
The Jets are starting to look like a professional team, and that counts a lot if you're a Jet fan.
Oh yeah,
Because
this is the first time we've really felt confident that
yes,
the Jets can finally win.
When your team has not made the playoffs for 14 years, you take anything that looks good.
Yes.
And lately, we are seeing the good side of the Jets. Let's hope they do it Sunday.
Let's hope they do it Sunday indeed. For Steve Ferguson, this is Pedro Hazel Jr. saying, if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button and check our web address. Check our web address. And this is it. And good night, and see you in 2 weeks.
Good night, LGM.
LGM.
That's one of your better shows. How'd you feel?
I felt good.
Yeah.
It's a little on the short side.
And you sounded pretty good.